Let's finish up our videos this week with one more video on the graphs of exponential and logarithmic functions. So here we have a picture of y equals 10 to the x. You can see how it rides along the x-axis as a horizontal asymptote, it's called. And what it's doing is getting closer and closer and closer to zero, or to the x-axis, but never actually reaching it. And why is that? Well, if you think about it, if you take 10 and raise it to a very big negative number, even if you just take 10 and raise it to -2, that's 1 over 10 squared, that's 1/100th. And so you can see how it's just becoming a smaller and smaller and smaller fraction as it goes out to the left. But then once it comes into contact with 0, 10 to the 0 equals 1, as does every other exponential function. Any base would equal this. Then it starts to climb very rapidly. 10 to the 1 equals 10, 10 to the 2 equals 100, and you can see that the graph is very steep. It grows very, very quickly. Conversely, on this log graph, the graph of the inverse of 10 to the x, which is the log of x, log base 10 of x, it crosses the x-axis at the point right here at 1, 0, because it's a mirror image of this, which crosses at 0, 1. So you can just flip the x and y's because they are inverse functions. And it uses the y-axis as a vertical asymptote, which means it creeps closer and closer to the y-axis, but never actually touches. So what does this mean in terms of domain and range? What is the domain of the exponential function? I'm going to turn off the log function. What is the domain of this exponential function? Well, we can put in any x value we want. We can put in negative x equals negative 10 million. We can put in x equals 10 million, and we're going to get values. But the range that we're going to get is only positive, only the positive numbers, right? So it never goes below the x-axis. It never goes into the low y space, right? So our range is only positive values of y, okay? But let's look at our natural log, or our base 10 log. The domain, again, the domain and range, are we allowed to enter negative numbers as a value for x in a log function? Can I put log of -5? No, because log of -5 is asking 10 raised to what power equals -5. That's impossible. You can't find a number that you can raise 10 to that'll give you -5 as an answer. Because if you just keep raising it to a negative number, that's just a smaller and smaller fraction. So the domain of the log function, the domain of this is all the possible x values are only the positive x values, only values x greater than or equal to 0, okay? And the range, as you can see, is all values of y. This thing is going to go all the way down the y-axis, and it's going to come into contact with every value of y. And yes, it's going to come into contact with every positive value of y, although it will get there very slowly. But you will find a value at y equals 700 million, y equals 700 trillion. There will be a value. So the domain is only the positive x values, and the range is all values of y. Okay, I hope this was helpful.